Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's Stories of Yanko back here with another video. And look, I'm not going to sit here in front. I've not been watching the NBA like that. I haven't been watching basketball like that, period. Like, I've been playing it a little bit. But even then, it's just something missing. It's kind of stale for me. And the reason why it's gotten stale, because I've been into another sport. And the only sport that I post on this channel is what? Boxing. Boxing is top tier. It has been elite. I've been watching all the events outside, little shows. Sometimes I might tune in on a Saturday or a Friday just to watch something, but boxing has been the main thing that I've been just interested in. And not only that, I have started my boxing journey personally. I've, gotten to boxing, I'm right-handed, so I'm orthodox. All this stuff, man. I'm in school for right now. Like, this is it. Like, this is elite. And it's just something about the NBA that just can't mess with that. I've been watching all the boxing events, Dubois versus Joshua. Then you had, Morrell versus Benavidez. You had Bivol versus Beterbiev. I watched both of those. I thought Bivol won the first one and the second one. But, he got it back. It is what it is, right? But, yeah, man, I've been watching everything. And last night, we had an event that not too many people were hyped about. But guess what? It turned into something beautiful. Because leading up to Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach, a lot of people were down Lamont Roach, man. And look, I get it. It was the mystique that Tank had that made everybody think that, oh, this is just going to be another guy that get knocked out. But you had guys telling people, hey, Lamont Roach he's like that. But a lot of people were trying to take it back to their childhood, the amateurs, where it was like, oh, well, these guys, they faced off and Tank beat him both times. But Lamont Roach said that, he lost the second time, but he won the first time. Just depends on who you go to or whatever. But it's a whole storyline with that. And I thought it was amazing leading up to the actual fight. The event was actually good. Ryo, he got the shit beat out of him. And, it is what it is. Shout out to Russell, though. But a lot of things were transpiring throughout the actual main event where Tank fought Lamont Roach. And there was a lot of controversy. And, yeah, Tank lost. Tank lost. I don't care what nobody has to say. And it's not that I'm against Tank and that I'm not a fan of Tank. I am a fan of Tank. When he went up against Garcia, I was rooting for him. Rolly, rooting for him. Like, I'm rooting for him against most of everyone. But I was rooting for Lamont Roach. Because I think a lot of people have kind of gotten sick of this whole, well, what have you done in the sport of boxing? And if you don't know where that quote comes from, you ain't tapped in enough. And when you have different fighters in a competitive weight class, like 130 through 147 is very competitive. Well, 154 is competitive too. Just pretty much 130 on up is super competitive outside of the Bridger weight class, because whatever the hell that is. But basically, everybody knows that there's been other guys in Tank Davis's weight class that has been calling him out, such as Shakur Stevenson, such as Keyshawn Davis, right? But, he hasn't fought those guys. He's been downplaying them. And these are the scrap holders now. And I understand, according to Keyshawn and all these other guys, yes, these belts really don't mean nothing because you got to pay to be the champion. You got to pay all these sanctioning bodies. That's real. It's stupid. But check this out. When you got other champions in your weight class calling you out, you have to answer that call, especially when you're the cash cow, right? But Tank has gotten a reputation for bringing guys down in weight and bringing guys up in weight. And I think that this was a cherry pick, quote unquote cherry pick, gone wrong, because nobody respected Lamont Roach. Everybody was just on this, hey, what round you gonna knock him out in? Everybody was like, oh, Lamont Roach going to sleep. And, oh, like, everybody had this consensus that Lamont Roach was going to get knocked out. And even me, I fell for it low-key at times because I'm like, I just want Lamont Roach to have a good showing, man. Everybody's talking back and forth. I'm like, but the first thing I said, you can check my Twitter. I said, Lamont Roach don't look scared of Tank. Like, when I look at him, I didn't see no fear. And that's the thing that I saw in Frank Martin. Frank Martin was scared of Tank. he was scared of him. Lamont Roach was not scared of Tank. And throughout the fight, he was taking Tank's power and trading back. Lamont Roach was outboxing Tank. He outlanded him in a jab. Like, he outlanded him, like, period. Like, it's like he threw the most punches and he landed the most punches. And it was a controversial, it was controversial, like, when it happened. And it was just like, it was kind of weird. Tank had took a knee because he had to get some hair grease out his eye or some, whatever. I don't know what it is, bro. I don't know if it's cap. Could have been true. I'm not going to sit up here and say, it was true or not. Lamont Roach tends to think that, okay, he had hair grease in his eye. So, whatever. It didn't matter. Lamont Roach did enough to get the decision. He did enough throughout 12 rounds to get the decision. But, for some reason, it ended up a draw. And the reason why it ended up a draw, not because it was a draw, but because boxing is a business. Boxing is a business. When you have a fighter like Tank Davis that is a cash cow that can put butts in seats, sell out the Barclays, of course, you want that guy to stay the quote-unquote face of boxing or one of the faces of boxing. And you still got big fights to make because according to Tank, he was going to call out somebody after the fight. It didn't happen because, yeah. But it was either going to be Jake Paul or Pitbull Cruz. But according to some reports, it was going to be Jake Paul. And why would we get that fight? I don't know. I don't know why we would. Jake Paul, even if it's a novelty fight, right? A showcase fight. Jake Paul is a heavyweight. Like, what are we doing here? He's like 6 foot something. Like, what are we doing here, bro? Like, let's stop this, man. Like, so, look, I'm not interested in the showcase fight, the money fight. I don't care, Tank. You can't, just drop your belt then. Just do something else. Go off and make all these fights, but don't be a champion because you're holding up your division. You got Shakur Stevenson calling you out. Keyshawn Davis calling you out. You got Abdullah Mason coming up. And it's like, dude, there's guys there that want your, metaphorically speaking, their guys want your head, Pause. Like, geez, I couldn't avoid that one, could I? But basically, you holding up the division. And we're not even going to talk about Lomachenko because he's a gatekeeper. But listen, I want to say shout out to Lamont Roach, man. This is not just about Tank Davis. This is about Lamont Roach Jr. Like, he really showed up. The only thing I wanted for him is to have a good showing, and he over-delivered. He over-delivered. Not only did he have a good showing, a great showing, he won the fight. They took it away from him. They didn't give him the decision. He said that Tank told him in the 12th round that they weren't going to give it to him. And we knew they weren't going to give it to him. That's the reason why it was a draw. Because you can't have Tank lose his O before the anyway fight. Before the big fights. Even though this was a fight, this is probably the biggest fight of Lamont Roach's career, But now he has a household name. You are the guy that showed the chinks in Tank's armor, You are the guy that pretty much exposed Tank for, fighting lesser competition that everybody has been saying. Because, once again, it was a consensus that Tank was just going to knock this guy out. And Lamont Roach was the one who was stunning Tank. So, Lamont, you look great at 135. Have nothing to be ashamed of. They didn't give it to him. But Lamont Roach, when I say he's the fucking truth. Lamont Roach is that. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I was watching a lot of his fights prior. I may have watched one or two. But, just in passing. But Lamont Roach is truly that guy. Lamont Roach, he proved all the haters wrong. All the people who said that he was going to get knocked out. All the guys who just had him written off as a bum. Sure, we wanted to see him fight Shakur. Sure, we wanted to see him fight Keyshawn. But Lamont Roach is nothing to sleep on. Dude, I hope you get all the clout, the praise, everything you deserve because y'all turned that bum Pitbull Cruz up. Y'all turned him up just for surviving against an injured Tank, right? But it's like you got a guy who won. I'm not going to say arguably won. He won. He won the fight. He didn't even need the knockdown. That's the reason why people are harping on him taking a knee because the fact that one judge gave it to Tank Davis when Lamont Roach literally, he outboxed him. He outboxed him. He outlanded him. Everything. you know? And they didn't even, he actually landed the best punches throughout the fight. Now, Tank did have his spots, but it was a great fight, man. It was a great fight, the best fight of Tank's career. The first time he really had some competition in there with him as a pro. And, he lost. But anyway, Lamont Roach, he's talking about fighting Shakur Stevenson because Shakur said, if they can't make the rematch happen, then, we'll see if they can make that fight, and, he's putting his belt on the line. And I think Shakur beats Lamont Roach because I just think that it's just style wise, like Shakur beats damn near everybody. Like he's a hard puzzle to figure out, but pretty much if Shakur beats Lamont Roach, then, we have fight math. According to my homeboy, like that's what he would say is fight math. And that means that the guy that Gervonta Tank Davis went the distance with and arguably lost against, Shakur would have beat. So pretty much you ain't got no choice but to make that fight. And I just want to say shout out to both boxers for putting on a great show. Shout out to all the boxers on that PBC card that just showed up and showed out. It's all about, fighting the best. Whether some people are still coming up, it's all about fighting the best. And this was worth it. Yeah, the pay-per-view was expensive as a motherfucker, but yes, this was worth it. I enjoyed the fight. Shout out to Tank Davis and Lamont Roach. And hopefully we don't get no novelty fights. We actually get back in the gym. We watch these fighters, fight the best. And regardless whether if it's in Saudi with Turkey or here in the States, we need to see those fights. So, yeah. Peace.